Hi, I'm David Jeremiah Bowden, and that is a tower that I've been singing in Champaign County, Illinois. It's got this great echo. And today starts a brand new series, a brand new way of being family. I'm saying hello to whoever's interested, and we're working on the primary parts of how to be family. How to be family. Number one, the human family has big problems and does ugly things. Do you realize that hundreds and hundreds of people have gotten together and gone over and killed other people? Gosh, that's terrible. Why would people do that? Because there's problems in us. Do you realize that people have sneaked in and stolen things from one another? Even they've stolen people from one another and all kinds of ugly, weird things? That's a problem. Well, there's good news, and if you don't understand how to describe the good news really quick and easy and simple, people might get bored and go away. So guess what? This human family has been expecting to have a supernatural visitor show up. Now, that might sound crazy to you, but there's a lot of other crazy things that go on in this world. And it's pretty smart to check out the things that have lasted for a long time. So there's this story about a supernatural visitor that has hung around for about 2,000 years. The supernatural visitor showed up and he walked into a town and he healed the entire hospital. I'm talking about every single person in the hospital. And he found the people that had weird personalities. I mean, weird personalities and problems in their personalities. Maybe they get angry too much. Maybe they like drink coffee all day long and they're really weird. Or maybe they just, maybe they just really have a bad part of their personality that they wish would go away. And this supernatural visitor came in and he drove off the spirits that cause personality problems and weirdness. And he healed everybody in the hospital. Now, in the towns of those days, they didn't have like one huge giant hospital, but they had a whole lot of people that were sick and had problems and stuff like that. And he walked in and like he healed every single person in the town and drove off all of the spirits that caused personality disorders until everybody's running around and screaming and grabbing people that are sick. And this one guy goes and he gets his crippled niece and he brings her in and she gets healed and she can walk and she's jumping up and down and everybody's like so happy and amazed that they're not sick anymore. And then he goes walking out of the town and they start following him and they start like listening to what he has to say. And they're not following him because he's a nice teacher. There's nice teachers everywhere. They're following him because he has supernatural powers. So then he goes into another town and there's already people following him. He goes into another town and in that town, guess what he does? You'll never believe what he does. He heals the whole hospital and everybody in the whole town is like, oh my gosh, my grandmother, like she really hurts and she can hardly walk and like maybe he can fix her too. And they take the grandmother and it's like, oh my gosh, grandma, and she's standing around, she's dancing and she's singing and everybody in the whole town is getting healed and all the people that have weird personalities, weird. I mean, they just act weird and they're sad and their personality is yicky. And he comes in, he says, Spirit, go away. Leave this person alone. Leave my friend alone. Leave my family alone. And all these people get healed. And then he walks out of that town. Now he's got a lot of people follow him. As a matter of fact, it says he had 10,000 people follow him out into a stinking desert, almost maybe 40 miles away from where those towns were. That's a long way. They walked like 40 miles. And they went away for a long time. And I'm telling you, people do not shut down their businesses and just go leave and go somewhere when a politician shows up. They don't just shut everything down and go somewhere when, a nice teacher shows up. They don't walk away from their animals, run away from their businesses and all the other important stuff, leave school, etc., etc. They don't get permission to go away from their businesses and their animals and all that kind of stuff to go out in the desert. And why did they go out in the desert? Why did they go out in the desert? Just because he was a nice teacher? No, because he was showing supernatural powers. Because, see, the supernatural visitor that everybody was waiting for, he was going to actually solve all the problems of, like, our dumb human family that does dumb stuff. I've done stuff, man, dumb stuff. You know, I mean, there's people sad at me and angry with me because I've done things that just hurt them and made them sad and that were wrong. And, oh my gosh, like, so the supernatural visitor is supposed to fix all of the problems of the whole human family that ever existed. Everybody. So they're staying with him because just in case, since he's got supernatural powers and he can actually duplicate food and he can tell like storms and things to stop, he has power over like the elements of the earth and he actually can know people's thoughts before they even say anything. Like, I mean, this guy's got everything, okay? And they're concerned that maybe if like he goes up into the atmosphere or like disappears into the parallel realm, maybe the people that stay with him are actually going to be able to go with him. So why would you like stay home in your town when like you could stay with him and maybe like something supernatural power would happen to you? And then it's one thing to have supernatural powers. And you can think this is all a rumor or like maybe a fairy tale, and that's okay. You can take that kind of attitude. That's all right. But this is the rumor, and I want you to know the details of the rumor. The rumor is it's one thing to have powers, but it's another thing to be able to just put your powers on another person. So that's what he did. He took these 12 guys like nobodies. Some of these guys can't even read. They're just commercial fishermen. They're like tough guys, hard working, like construction worker, tough guys, strong guy, tough guys. Working fishermen. And then there's tax collectors too. And those guys are like mafioso, underworld, loan shark guys that are like strong arm. You better pay us or something bad's going to happen to your car. We'll slash your tires. You know, like that kind of stuff. So he picks out real ordinary tough people. And he puts his supernatural powers on these ordinary, like rough, tough people. Okay? 12 of them. And he sends them out. And then when he sends them out by themselves. He doesn't go with them because he's got the powers, but he wants to show he can just put his powers on somebody else. He puts powers on them. 1, powers over those trouble spirits that cause crazy personalities. Power over trouble spirits that cause crazy personalities. 2, power to heal the physical body. And 3, power to speak truth about stuff that's going on in the parallel realm and like the eternal realm and in people's lives and all this kind of cool stuff. So he can actually like put this power on these people, these 3 powers. Power over spirits, power to heal, power to speak truth about the secret things in somebody's life, you know? He can speak truth about the secret things. He can speak truth about the stuff that's going to happen. They can speak truth about what God, the designer of the cosmos, they can speak truth about what God really likes us to do and be doing. So he puts his power on 12. The 12 come back and they're like, whoa, even the bad spirits that make personality disorders, they just go away. When we say, hey, you spirit of craziness, go away. Leave my friend alone. He's my family. I love him, right? So the spirits go away. They heal the physical bodies and they speak things out of their mouths that they themselves are kind of amazed about because like they have this truth in them. He puts truth in them that's like total forever truth, beyond the grave truth, better than life and death truth. Okay? So then, later on, he takes 72 rough characters and he does the same thing with the 72. And they go out and when they come back they say, hey, even all those bad spirits, they just go away when we tell them to go away. And then the supernatural visitor says, now be careful. Don't get all excited about these powers that you got. Because if you get excited about these powers that you got, then the bad powers can start tricking your mind and making you think that you're somebody special when you're just a nobody that got special powers put on you because God loves you and I'm God in human form and I touched you. So don't get all excited about the powers that you got. Just be excited that you're a friend of God and God is a friend of you, and that's it. That's the most important thing to be excited about. Before, you didn't know if you could be a friend of God. Now you are. Before, you didn't know you could be a friend of God. Now you know you can be a friend of God, and you are a friend of God, and you're going to get powers, but don't get excited about the powers. Just know that you got them and use them, because that is the way that people get to be friends with God, if you use the powers, right? Okay, now, the supernatural visitor does this weird thing. Everybody in the whole world is supposed to hate him and kill him. Why? Because God is holding goodness. And you know how, well, like, when somebody's like doing good, and you're doing bad, and you just kind of get angry at them because like everything goes wrong for you and everything goes right for them, and they're like, and just get angry at them. They killed him. They killed him. But that's what he was supposed to do. He was supposed to die, because if he dies, then he can prove to him that he's got power even over dying and death. How wonderful is that? He has got power to actually make death spirits go away. That's wild. Okay, so he is tortured for hours. He is stuck on its giant pole, and he suffers and suffers and suffers for a really long time, many, many hours, and all this wild stuff happens when he's on this giant pole. And then he dies, and he's put in a grave, and then he comes back from the dead, and for 40 days he starts hanging out with people. He's hanging out with people in a brand new resurrection form that you are going to have. You are going to have the same resurrection form as the supernatural visitor, and so am I. So he's showing us what our resurrection form can be like. And he's hanging out with these people, especially the people that he hung out with before, but with some other people too. As a matter of fact, 500 people at once saw him alive. This is really cool. This is amazing. It's amazing. And then, after 40 days, he goes back into the spirit realm, and then he goes back into the spirit realm, and then for 10 days he's away in the spirit realm. And there's 120 people waiting, because he says, stay in one place, and I am going to give you extra stuff and extra powers. I'm going to give you the powers plus more power. Stay here in town until you receive power from above, power from heaven, power from the other realm. When you receive power, you're going to receive power. So he puts power on 12, they check it out. He puts power on 72, they check it out. Then he's alive, resurrected from the dead, alive in this wild resurrection form, okay? That's not human, but it is human at the same time. It's really, really crazy, and it's wild. And we're going to have one of those too, because you're never going to die. Your physical body will die, but then your body is going to be reformed, and you're going to experience things. You are not going to die. Your physical body is going to die, but your inner self is going to stay alive, and you're going to remember all the things that you have done. It's wild. It's amazing. And your friend, the supernatural visitor, he is going to help work out the stuff that you did that was wrong. He is actually going to carry all that and fix it all up. He's the only one that can do it. No human can do it. So he goes back into the spirit realm. Then he puts his powers right from the spirit realm on 120 people. They get power to drive out trouble spirits, power to heal the physical body, power to speak truth, like about everything in really wild supernatural ways. And they get this language power. They get this funny little kid-like language. And their languages get heard from time to time by people who don't speak the same language as them, to prove to them that they are supernaturally connected with God as a friend. So those people are like, how did you do that? And like, what does it feel like? And it's like, well, you have to want God to be your friend first and understand the problems of peoples. And it's not easy, because the world, and a lot of the people in the world think you're crazy, and they call you crazy. And sometimes they want to kill you. But that's the story of the supernatural visitor. Now, the word that we use to describe the supernatural visitor is the anointed one, Moshiach, Messiah, or Christ, or Christo, Christos, because Messiah means empowered one. Now there's the word Buddha, and that means the enlightened one. And it's really good to be enlightened. It's awesome to be enlightened because that means you understand things and you know things. But to be enlightened is one thing. To have the power to do the things that you know how to do is even more important. Like if you were trying to shoot a bow and arrow for the first time, and you studied all about shooting a bow and arrow, and you became very enlightened about all the things about bow and arrows. If you don't actually have a bow and arrow and actually practice and get the power to use one, you are enlightened because you know all the stuff, but you don't have the power to do it. So Buddha means enlightened, and then Moshiach came later, 300 years later, and he is the one that gives the power. He has the power, he just gives it to you. He gives you the power to want to be good. He gives you the power to want to do inspiring things. He gives you the power to help people when you don't even feel like helping people. It's so amazing. Woo! It's crazy. So, Moshiach, or Christ, actually that's not Jesus of Nazareth's last name. It's a term that means like the shoemaker, or the car mechanic, or the postman. So Yehoshua, which is what his mommy called him, Yehoshua or Yahshua. Yahshua or Jesus or Jesus, Yehoshua, the little boy Yehoshua, it turns out he's not just Yehoshua the carpenter. He's Yehoshua the Moshiach, the supernatural visitor that everybody was waiting for. And that's the story of the good news. And what's the good news? The good news is God has shown up in human form and decided to be our friend, and he puts his spirit and his supernatural powers in us. Okay, what did that mean? I'll sing it. It means that the beauty of this earth is still beautiful, and we can even be more beautiful than the whole human family, and we can help everybody. That's what that meant. Whoa! Happy first visit to David Jeremiah Bowden and the bell tower that we sing and practice in. Ta 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 ta. Were you there? Were you there when they crucified my Lord? Were you there when the Spirit fell with fire? Were you there when the Spirit came with fire? Sometimes it causes me to tremble, tremble, tremble. Were you there when the Spirit came with fire? Woo!